Well, there's no wrong way to write a song, but I know there's a lot of people when they first start doing it, they don't know how to jump in. You know, how do I get my students to do it? How do I lead my students? I've never written a song, so how am I going to have a whole class of students write a song? And you know, it's great when the students come up to me and say, "Hey, I wrote a song. Can I share it with you?" Of course, and they share that song with me. But for me to be the one to present that to them and say, "Hey, I'd like for you to write a song. Here are some ways that work for me. This has worked for me in the past. Here's a little trick that I like, and maybe you'll like it too. Try it out, see if it works for you. And if it doesn't, well, in a few months, we'll probably write another song, and we'll do a different approach." So, it's just a matter of jumping right in and just giving it your best. Today we had a few students, when I would walk around and look at what they were doing with their lyrics, they'd say, "We need help." "What do you need help with? What specifically do you need help with?" I'm looking at their page and it's got their name on it and it's blank and they just don't know where to start. It's that, I want to do it, I want to write this song, but I'm not comfortable in just starting. So, with certain students and even with certain teachers, when they first start doing this, it's nice to have a clear plan. Okay, well, if you can't think of something, a melody to sing. You can't think of a melody to sing. Why don't you start here and I'll play a note on my guitar. Let's sing your first note right there. Happiness. Great. So let's go on from there. You've sung that much. Now take the next step. One step at a time like that. The bullseye approach that we started with today is just one of several song starts that I use. I find that one works really well for group songwriting. It's, the students are allowed to just yell out any ideas that come to them. And, then we draw from that, that pool of words that we've created and ideas to write with. That's one of those, kind of jumping off points that's easy to get into. And before you know it, look, you're already writing your song. So for people who have never done it before, it's a nice way to ease into it.
He makes it easier because he shows us how to do it if we don't know exactly what to do. And he explains it more.
Well, my other music teachers, I lived in a different state, so they were kind of different because in that other state they didn't take music as seriously, you can say, because they didn't really have the proper tools to teach us as well as Mr. Moats is able to. So with that, I'm able to learn a lot more in music.
A student will come up with, a drawing that they've done. I'll show you and say, "Hey, look at this. I drew this picture. I drew a guitar player." Great. They want to share that thing that they've created. So to be able to lead them on a creative journey in writing a song, something that a large chunk of students wouldn't even think of doing. It's not necessarily the first thing they're going to think of that they want to do is, "Hey, I want to write a song." To be able to lead them on that journey to do that, and then at the end of the day, when it's time for them to leave class and the next class to come in, and I hear moans and groans around the room when I say, "Hey, it's time to go." Oh, that's great, because they're loving what they're doing, and you're the person who's bringing that to them. There's a lot of satisfaction in that.
He gives us more time. The school gave us like when he gave us 12 minutes on that, they gave us 2.
Because I was in a different school. We never used a microphone.
at all. We never wrote a song, so that was pretty new actually last year. Mr. Moats has done better than my last school. They didn't explain anything. They didn't make it at all fun. They pressured us. He just makes it calming, fun, and I would have to say relaxing and not pressuring at all. Especially that we have to work with our friends, mostly like partners.
There's several approaches that I'll take when songwriting. Writing a group song is typically where I start, and having the students write as an entire class. But after that, we'll have students write maybe just one section of a song on their own. Maybe we'll have them write an entire song. Maybe I'll have them take a guitar and come up with a chord progression that they're comfortable playing, and then write a song to go along with that. There's a lot of different ways to approach it, and I do all of them from second grade on up to fifth. In the group that's writing a song right now, we had third graders, fourth graders, and fifth graders all participating in the same lesson. So, it works across ages and grade levels very easily and very well. Whenever my students are songwriting, I try to avoid a rubric that says, well, you scored a 5 out of 5. That means you wrote a song perfectly. Because I'll never forget being in 10th grade and having to write a poem and getting a C because the teacher essentially didn't like my poem, even though I did the assignment as required. So when the student comes up with their song, we talk about that flow chart of development and having a melody, a rhythm, having some clear phrases, and having lyrics. And if they're lacking one of those things, what can we do to develop your song a little further and maybe take it to the next level, help it progress? And that's what I look for when the students are sharing with me. If they share with me the first time and I say, hey, look, you've got great lyrics, you've got melody, you've got rhythm, except I don't really hear any clear musical phrases. Wouldn't it be neat if maybe we tried this? And offer up suggestions on how we can create those phrases. And then, it's up to the students to decide, if they like those ideas or not. And then I'll let them share with me again after they've had time to do some editing and kind of see where we've gone. I think it's all about allowing the student to, obviously it's we want the student to learn, but, don't we learn best when we are learning something we enjoy? So when I would get together with my friends after school and we would play Green Day songs in the garage, that was me learning how to be a musician. And when a student comes up to me with their song and maybe it doesn't have a melody because they're rapping, well, fantastic. I'm going to point out to them, you don't have melody. And that's fine. But I want to make that distinction so that they know that there's a difference and that what they've chosen to do is great because they're learning music and they're doing it in a way that is relevant to them.